I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll take roll call. Becky.
Tom Wilson.
Here.
Dave Bailey. Bill Palin.
Here.
Marvin Williams. John Nichols.
Okay. He is coming in.
Not quite there yet, but he's trying.
Okay. So meeting attendees and visitors, we have anybody that has anything for the properties committee? No? Okay. The approval of the minutes from the previous meeting from November 18th and December 14th was on board. Is there any adjustments to the meeting minutes? If not, they'll be approved as read. The reviews of claims was provided by the claims committee on board that we could look through. Administrators and department head reports will go D. You want to give your report first? Your report's in the packet. Do you have anything for us today? If you don't, it's not a big deal. I mean, if you.
Yeah, I have everything that's on the board. I don't think you want to, you don't think I don't want to read it all to you.
No, that's fine.
So just highlights. So we do have a petition that came in front of the zoning board last Thursday. The petition has been continued until February. And we also have another petition coming in February. So we'll have two petitions at the zoning board meeting. We have a text amendment for a mini warehouse petition. I think you have that. In our planning commission, we're beginning to work on updating the comprehensive plan. In the report, you have the yearly report for new construction of homes. We have 14 new homes that were constructed this year, which is up from the last several years. It's definitely not at the 2008, 80 houses that were built in that year, but we're moving up. We also have the yearly report for all types of the approved construction. We have the Renewable Energy Committee has looked over an ordinance for solar energy system as an accessory use. And I don't believe that's on your agenda, but I did want to have Alice discuss it with you today.
All right, the Renewable Energy Committee did approve a draft ordinance for solar energy systems and as an accessory use. Following that meeting, doing a little double checking, there were a couple of things that we noticed that may need to be changed. The initial opening, I have given everyone here a copy, and I apologize it's not on board yet. But the copy given to the Renewable Energy Committee, the opening paragraph was stricken. I have revised that to be appropriate for this ordinance. Closer. The next change is found on the second page. Under section 2, paragraph B, the copy provided to the Renewable Energy Committee said no person shall construct or operate a solar energy system as an accessory use without first obtaining both a special use permit and a building permit. That was not the intent of the committee. And so we have revised the language to state that they will need to obtain a building permit and a special use permit if necessary. And then the final change comes under section 3, letter B, subparagraph F, miscellaneous, number 3. We had I had taken this from the city of Dixon's ordinance. And so it states that a ground mount solar energy system approved as an accessory use shall not be larger than the lesser of half the building footprint of the main building on the property, or 625 square feet. While that would be appropriate within city limits, that's not going to work in our agricultural and industrial districts. So we have revised the language to state that this would apply in any residential and commercial district, and that ground mount solar energy systems approved as an accessory use in any agricultural and industrial districts would be exempt from this provision. Should we run into a situation where we have a commercial building that would not be able to, there are remedies within this ordinance for them to obtain a special use permit. So it would not prevent them from proceeding. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Greg Gates, do you have anything for us besides what's in the packet?
You should have the report in front of you. I'm just going to hit a few highlights. First of all, I think at least our experience with the new claims process has gone rather smoothly. So I appreciate the Treasurer's Office and Wendy with you leading that charge. It's kind of, I thought, very smooth in terms of just the submission process and the learning curve. There's some things to be tweaked out, but I'm appreciative of those changes. So thumbs up. Other developments, we're working on a couple of audits with Whipley. We're trying to finalize the single transportation audit, which by contract is due by December 31st, but we're given a late start. We have an extension into the end of this month to get that into IDOT. And then we're also just wrapping up before the start of the full county audit, just getting some documentation in terms of the lots portion of that audit. In terms of jumping down to the lots data portion for December, we had 20 days of service during that period of time. We had just under 4,000 rides that were provided, service mileage about 30,000, almost 31,000, and passenger hours 1,100. Did have, and not completely surprisingly, that with the holiday season, we've had a drop in ridership for the week of January 3rd. We were down by 5.49% from 1 year ago. We had about 602 rides that were provided last week. It should be coming back up to a normal 1,100-ish type of ride that we would provide on a weekly basis. And then I'm happy to report that some of the water damage that had been in that vestibule area of our Reagan Transit Center is actually nearly complete. We have our general contractor who was part of that canopy project, Sostrom and Sons, completing that this week. So it'll look much better and actually an easy process as well. So I think that's all I have. Questions.
Does anybody on properties have any questions for Greg?
Hey, Tom, not a question, but just a couple comments. Dee, thank you for the report that got into On Board. And Greg, Becky may have already chatted with you about this, but we would love to be able to put these into On Board and save you printing the paper for them. If you want to get them to us going forward, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
That way they also stay as part of the permanent record too. They don't get lost. So love that.
Okay, so Greg Saunders, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, since we've had the uptick in not just the whole country, but the Lee County area, the COVID, we have started upping our spray, as you probably all well know. You probably smell it in the mornings when you get here. We're spraying this one a couple of times a week in the committee room here also, and over at the new courts building with the lot more traffic we have over there than we do here, we're spraying that daily. Plus we're getting several hot spots where somebody's came in from outside and ended up testing positive, or they've gotten sick and had to be taken out. So we have to run in there and hurry up and spray that and clean that real well. So the janitorial staff's been really, really busy trying to keep things clean and keep people from getting sick. Also, after we finally got our first measurable snow, and then we got the hit with the ice storm afterwards. We've been really busy trying to keep the sidewalks up and keep them clean. We're trying something new. We just got in for the sidewalks and the entrances to the buildings, you know, close to the building. We're trying a new liquid chemical that we applicate with a backpack sprayer, and you don't get all that granular salt tracked into the building, which makes it a lot easier for our janitorial staff. Plus, it doesn't hurt the flooring as bad as this granular does, and it's a little cheaper to purchase this. So it's an experimental process right now. We're going through, we're spraying that on the entrances to the building, and it also, we can pre-apply it. Like if we know it's going to snow that night, we can pre-apply it, and it's good for 14 hours after we apply it. So we're hoping that if we pre-apply it and it's going to snow that night, it would keep the sidewalks thawed out and wouldn't have to worry about ice. The next thing is I'm purchasing a lot of parts for a lot of our equipment that we have, the stuff that really wears out sooner than later. And I'm stocking some parts so we can do some of our repairs in-house without having to call outside the area to have somebody come in and repair something. And if it's something major, we're going to call outside and get it. I know we have some control issues right now in this building because they're still in the process of working on that. So that type of stuff we have to call outside the area. But we're trying to do a lot of our mechanical repairs as much as we can to what our technology is, at least. So try to save the county a little bit of money, and we're getting the parts at cost because we're ordering it instead of going through somebody else and paying a little markup on that. So that's all I have right now.
Does anybody on properties have any questions for Greg? And then Terry. Terry, do you have anything for us other than what was in your report?
I actually did not do a report. I apologize. But I just had a couple things come up. I just wanted to let you know, I think I told you guys before that I had a dog ruin a gate that has since been replaced, but I had another dog recently that ruined the brand new gates. They're taking their teeth and pulling on the welds, and I don't know. So far, that dog, I mean, it's still here. I can't charge the owner because I don't know who it is. But so far, the gate that I got as a replacement last time from Menards, that is actually held up for this particular dog. So those might be a little better welded, more strength as far as the wire. It's maybe in like a 9 wire instead. But so we got him moved. The other thing is I started grinding we've got screws and like it holds these bolts together and they're sharp. So I started grinding those down. Some of the dogs were putting their paws on them and starting to bleed. So I started doing that and it's working pretty well so far. Other than that, I don't think I had anything else.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything for Terry? No. We got some petitions coming to the Zoning Board of Appeals from Michael Partington. The attachment is on the onboard. The petition's coming to the Planning Commission. We don't have any. Petitions coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals. There is 3 of those, and or 2 of them, I'm sorry. Those are also in the onboard. Is there 2, right?
Could just be one, the text amendment.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, just one. And then, okay, yeah, then petitions coming from the planning commission. It's really nice to not have all this paperwork in front of you, where you can actually read through and see all the stuff with online. Then as far as old business goes, the repurposing of the old jail. Is there any discussion on that? Nothing. So I think we should just table it till next month's meeting, where we can get something going. Or just leave it on there, that's fine. And then the audio video upgrade for the boardroom and the third floor committee room, Wendy,
I'm sorry.
the audio video upgrades in the boardroom.
Well, I shifted gears this last month, and instead of focusing on the audio video upgrades, which I'm really super excited about, but shifted gears to another IT project that we have going on. You'll be seeing this at this is an opportunity for me to share with you that you'll be seeing this at your full board agenda. We went out to bid for some services in the IT department that will provide the essentially server monitoring, securities, server space itself. There'll be data backups on-site and off-site, security, and networking services to be provided by a third-party vendor, which will allow our internal staff to shift focus and be able to deal with the end user type of support that we've got going on. So now that bid has been opened and is moving through the process for those services, this next month, I'll be putting the bid out for the audio video. Any questions anybody has on that? Because we are excited about having multiple monitors, or at least one great big monitor in here that we can display the onboard agenda. In case one of you has a tablet that's not working, we'll be able to display not only the Zoom meeting stuff, but the onboard agenda for the public and for all of the people in the room here today.
Thank you, Wendy. Then updating special use application process table in December. What do I do with that? Leave it tabled until we get more, and we're going to table it until we get more information. The new business, the resolution for the text amendment to add commercial use to mini warehouses. That would be the,
I lost my place on board. Sorry.
that's okay.
Could you repeat that?
The text amendment to add commercial uses to the mini warehouses.
Right, that was,
Can you explain that?
sure. In our land use under mini warehouses, you can only have a mini warehouse or also a self-storage containment facility in only an ag or an industrial use. And we didn't understand why it's not in a commercial use, where other counties have it under a commercial use. So that's the text amendment, is to add the 3 commercial zones to a mini warehouse.
Okay.
To allow for a mini warehouse.
Okay, and then, did we have any questions about that? No. Then zoning violation penalty. B.
Can I skip to another discussion and then we'll get into that? Do you mind?
Sure.
The zoning board is hearing a petition for a planned unit development. In this development, the owner must submit a development plan. And this plan has to be drawn up by an engineer. So the zoning board is concerned that there should be a third-party reviewing the submitted plan to make sure that all the required zoning codes are being followed through with. So it'll be going to the finance agenda, whether or not the county feels it's necessary to have a third-party review and how much we can pay for it.
How much we can pay for it? So a third party, I mean, a third party review, like in Whiteside County, and I know that any permitting we do of any building in Whiteside County, it gets sent off to Arizona to a third-party engineer, and that's paid for by the person that's doing the development. I don't understand why the county would pay a third party. Am I wrong in saying that, Alice?
Don't have any provision in the ordinance that allows us to charge him, so to speak. However, given the size of the project, we just feel it would be in the best interest of the county to get a third party to look at this, to make sure it is in compliance.
Yeah, it definitely
I
have to have a
agree.
third-party review of something that's of that size, for sure.
And I agree, it typically should be the responsibility of the petitioner. However, we don't have anything in our language to currently make that happen. So
Okay, Chris?
So how many ordinances do we not have right now for buildings that don't have protection in this regard for engineering costs that have to be paid for by? I know that's what we have in regards to solar, wind, and pipeline that we've made the petitioner have to pay those costs if we deem them necessary. We need to look at all of our ordinances and it should be optional, right? Like we don't have to enforce it on maybe a house to some level, but
correct.
commercial building.
That's the thing, is it's a planned unit development. The county hasn't had one come in for over a decade. It's just to make sure that everything is being followed, that the ordinance, that we're not setting any precedents by missing something. So we just want to make sure for this type of use that everything is being met. It may be something to look at, industrial development, large commercial development, but
I believe we need to get all those into engineering costs into the ordinance.
Yes. Marilyn?
Alice mentioned not setting any precedent on the specific development. I'm also concerned about the precedent if we are paying for this third party. If we don't have it in our ordinances, we need to do something to get it in there because, paying for one opens the door and
No, I agree. We need to look into that. Bob, you got anything?
Last I knew you were going to get a price on it, Alice. Were you able to get an idea?
I have not yet been able to speak with Wendler.
Chris?
Charlie, I'm gonna look at you, I guess, kind of in a sticky situation that they've already petitioned. You have any advice for us as far as what we could or should do? I know I'm putting you on the spot and I hate to do that, Charlie. I'm sorry.
Not on the spot at all. In fact, I was going to have a conversation with Allison D afterwards. I didn't really want to do it in an open session.
Okay. There'll be no executive session.
Oh, you got permit or fines.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one more thing to discuss
Oh,
about
okay.
zoning violation penalties. Throughout the past 20 plus years, Mr. Zellhofer has avoided applying for numerous building permits on his property at 1749 Winding Road. I will be assessing building permit fines and late penalties totaling over $13,000. Mr. Zellhofer has submitted a petition for the planned unit development to make his property come into compliance with our zoning code. And I feel that a fine should be assessed to this zoning violation, conducting commercial and industrial business in an agricultural zone. So I would like to know how the county would like me to proceed with those penalties.
Bob?
I got a question for this and I got to stay out of it, but we had an amnesty program. Was this caught through the flyover or was this
No,
a different?
he
Okay.
was in violation of another property that I had found, and just going through history and his other properties involved, this was found. Had nothing to do with the amnesty program.
One of the things we need to do is get some tickets printed. I recommended about 500 of them to start. And that will keep supplied for number of tickets sequentially. And give them D and let her write them up. Been kicking around Mr. Zellhofer's name now for 3 years probably. Blatantly avoided any kind of permit system. And granted, I don't want to see commercial development go away. Get somebody who's just trashing the system, he needs to be fined. Simple as that. You got the ability to do it. I recommend that I'd make a motion to have the spend the money to do it, if that's what it takes. To get the tickets published, or printed, and go at it.
How many zoning violations have you incurred in the last 5 years?
Not that many.
Okay, so we don't need 500 of them.
No, I just need a tool on,
I understand.
I have code in place on what to penalize him for, but I don't know if I just send him a certified letter saying you owe this much, and then I need to know how the county board feels, how much I can penalize him. I can penalize him up to $500 a day.
Chris?
My suggestion would work with Charlie, Tom, and Dee and come to the committee and to the full county board with a detailed solution. I think that's us discussing this in open, not that we can't discuss it in an open meeting, but we're all throwing ideas at the wall that we definitely need Charlie, the sheriff's on Zoom. He's got to have buy into it and come to us with a decision that you guys think that, do you agree, Charlie? Okay.
Am I missing something here? I thought that was already in place.
What's that?
Fine system for flagrant violation.
Well, I think she said, yeah, we just want to be consistent and fair and,
Right,
and
I agree with that.
and have,
I thought that was already there.
It gives, the code gives what the penalties are, but it doesn't say how she is to proceed. So we need a process, and we need to have the county board's approval of that process.
I think we need to tailor them for everybody, and not just one person. So I think they need to have that conversation and come back with us.
How do we come, yeah. Yep. Okay, now what? Does anybody have anything else? Making a motion to adjourn? Anybody? You'll move, John?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So be it, we're done.